John Oliver exposes Gaza famine. US role in Israel's blockade starvation crisis. John Oliver calls for an end to US involvement in Israel's blockade. Gaza is being starved by Israel. In a powerful opening segment of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver set aside his usual comedic tone to deliver a heartfelt appeal, urging the US government to cease its complicity in Israel's blockade of the Gaza Strip. This blockade has left approximately 2 million residents facing the dire threats of starvation and death. Oliver specifically targeted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has claimed that there is no starvation crisis in Gaza, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. He criticized Netanyahu's assertions, likening them to the antics of a shoddy magician who distracts from the truth. Interestingly, Oliver pointed out that former President Donald Trump has also recently expressed skepticism about Netanyahu's claims, adding another layer to the discussion. To describe starving children as merely looking very hungry is a gross understatement, akin to saying, "We were just friends," Oliver quipped, while displaying an image of Trump alongside Jeffrey Epstein. He noted that this was a rare instance of Trump showing a semblance of empathy. Focusing on certain public figures who quickly seized upon a New York Times report that mentioned a starving child's pre-existing health conditions, Oliver took aim at media personality Megyn Kelly, who dismissed the authenticity of the distressing images emerging from Gaza. "I had hoped we had collectively moved past Megyn Kelly as a society," he remarked, eliciting cheers from the audience. He emphasized that there is no need to dissect this issue one photograph at a time, referencing reports from the United Nations, various aid organizations, and Israeli human rights groups, all of which corroborate the severity of the situation. What is unfolding in Gaza is a famine. All available information supports this conclusion, except for Netanyahu and a few amateur sleuths scrutinizing each image of a malnourished child to determine if they are the right kind of dying, Oliver asserted. He referenced a 2024 CNN article in which Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich suggested that starving 2 million Gazans might be just and moral, but lamented that no one in the world would allow us to do that. Oliver interpreted this as Smotrich essentially complaining that the international community is hindering his ability to commit genocide more effectively. He argued that sustained international pressure is crucial, particularly from the US, which has provided nearly $18 billion in military aid to Israel during the first year of the ongoing conflict. The statement "Gaza is starving" is factually accurate, but it is somewhat misleading because it implies passivity. The reality is that Gaza is being starved by Israel. Leading humanitarian organizations and experts, including the UN Special Committee, Amnesty International, Doctors Without Borders, and scholars of international law, have accused Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinian people. A May 2025 analysis by the IPC projected catastrophic levels of food insecurity for the entire population of Gaza by September, indicating that at least 500,000 individuals are expected to fall into IPC Phase 5, the most severe phase, characterized by acute malnutrition and high mortality rates. John Oliver accuses Israel of Gaza starvation, ignores hostages and Hamas aid theft. Go to hell. John Oliver's bold accusation against Israel amid Gaza's humanitarian crisis. In a striking and impassioned monologue, British-American late-night host John Oliver has taken a firm stance on the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza, laying the blame squarely on Israel and its Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. His remarks, delivered on the HBO show Last Week Tonight, have sparked significant discussion and controversy, particularly regarding the complexities of the situation. Oliver, known for his outspoken pro-Palestinian views since the onset of the conflict, asserted that Gaza is starving at the hands of Israel, referencing the reports from reputable international human rights organizations like B'Tselem and articles from the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. However, in his lengthy discourse, he notably failed to address the critical issue of Israeli hostages currently held in Gaza, a point that many consider vital to the overall narrative. A direct attack on leadership. During his segment, Oliver did not hold back in his criticism of Netanyahu, labeling him a bad magician and emphatically stating, "Go to hell." He also directed his ire towards the United States, accusing it of complicity in the crisis by providing a staggering $18 billion in military aid to Israel during the first year of the conflict. This financial support, he argued, contributes to the ongoing suffering in Gaza. Oliver dismissed Israel's claims of providing airdropped aid as inadequate, suggesting that these efforts do little to alleviate the dire circumstances faced by the people in Gaza. The controversial issue of aid theft. In addressing the allegations that Hamas is diverting humanitarian aid intended for Palestinians, Oliver mentioned the perspectives of two senior Israeli officials, but did not delve deeply into the evidence supporting these claims. This omission has raised eyebrows, as it appears to downplay a significant aspect of the crisis. He stated, "It's very hard not to think that the reason humanitarian aid isn't reaching Gaza is because Netanyahu and his government don't want it." Echoing sentiments from Israeli ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, Oliver concluded his monologue with a passionate plea for increased international pressure on Israel to lift the blockade, a call that resonated with applause from the audience present. A call for balanced discussion. While Oliver's monologue brought attention to pressing humanitarian issues, critics have pointed out significant gaps in his argument. The absence of discussion regarding the hostage situation and the dismissal of documented instances of aid diversion by Hamas have led some to question the completeness of his narrative. What do you think? This raises important questions. Should media figures like Oliver address all facets of a complex issue, including the plight of hostages? Is it fair to solely blame one side in such a multifaceted conflict? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective is valuable in this ongoing discussion.